Li Ziye, this despicable person, was promoted by me without showing any mercy. He led a battalion with that bastard from Gaocheng and beat up my entire division to become a grandson. Old Seven used to be so honest, but since Li Crazy Dog arrived, the two of them have been wearing the same pants. They have built a special assault team for the Diamondbacks and rubbed Old A and Wolf Fang on the ground. Now Yuan Lang and Goutou Lao Gao are crying and shouting to go to the synthesis camp. Latest news. In this red and blue exercise, under the instigation of Li Crazy Dog, Lao Chi beat up his military commander's father and angrily scolded the rebel at the command center. It is said that he has already gone home to get his belt, thinking about whether to print an August 1st or a square on Lao Chi's face. In the world of Special Forces integration, starting from the Steel 7th Company, we will build the strongest Blue Army, allowing all enemies to bow down in front of the iron tide of the Empire. This novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Steel 7th Company, I'm here. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shancheng, Office of the Dean of Luji College. Through the second-hand smoke, one can see Lieutenant General Li Changqing, who is carrying wheat ears and 2 stars on his shoulder, holding a cigarette in his left hand. His eyes are fixed on the file bag on the desk in front of him, and his expression is a bit ugly. Looking at the young captain standing in front of him, he said, "Have you decided? Or do you just want to go to the Steel 7th Company of the 702nd Regiment of the T Division of the A Group Army in the Beijing military region? Does my land finger really have no attraction to you? Midnight, the field troops are tired, our school is so good. As long as you stay on campus to teach, within 20 years, the position of a teacher will be yours. Thank you for valuing me, teacher. But as you know, I have been preparing for entering the grassroots unit of the field army for the past 3 years." Li Ziye said with a serious expression, "You're joking with me. I've been preparing for 3 years in order to go to the Steel 7th Company. How could I not just say, don't go, and not go? It can not only enable the system to start, but also meet the kind-hearted and righteous men like Gaocheng, Shi Jin, and Huyou who were seen in TV dramas in their past lives. With me in this life, I will definitely not let Shi Jin and Huyou take off their military uniforms, and it will definitely make the Steel 7th Company stronger." Li Ziye couldn't help but secretly think about it. Then you can also go to other military units. Why do you have to go to the Steel 7th Company? You also have to be an instructor. The training intensity of the Steel 7th Company is well known throughout the A Group Army. As the student with the highest talent and best grades in the history of our school, you have been invited by many units now. Can you also go to those places? Teacher, I can also give you hands-on experience. Li Changqing looked at Li Ziye and couldn't help but earnestly say this is the most talented student that has ever appeared at Luji College since its establishment. Not only is his talent high, but he also works very hard and doesn't leave a way for others to survive. It's really frustrating that people are so angry that they just refuse to stay on campus and teach. At the thought of this, Dean Li Changqing let out a deep sigh in his heart. I am such a lowly general, I don't want to face a wave of grievances that the general couldn't help but feel in his heart. Indeed, there is no one among them who will be involved in this matter. If it were someone else who doesn't take care of it, would I still advise you? But Li Ziye is different from others. Since entering school, he has shown a talent similar to that of a demon, as if he was born to eat the bowl of rice. When he joined the army, it goes without saying that he has repeatedly broken various records within the college, and has also taken courses in special operations and armored command. Applying for promotion to graduate school after 1 year of admission directly caused a huge uproar among all the students, and several senior professors rushed over without even stabilizing their reading glasses after the exam defense. Their perfect score almost made them fight on the spot. They all wanted to accept a promising disciple, but at least they didn't want to be satisfied until the dean arrived. In front of the dean, they really didn't see enough. How could a general compete with them for students and make them stand up? In this way, Ziye became the closed-door disciple of the Major General and Dean 2 years later. Self-study the master's program. I applied for the doctoral thesis defense last month and graduated with a doctoral degree, awarded the rank of captain. No, teacher. If everyone is afraid of hardship, why bother joining the army? The army is not a daycare center. Moreover, when serving in the military, one must be a soldier who can fight. I want to be an excellent political worker in the military. Ziye was talking nonsense seriously, but his eyes were eagerly fixed on a pack of white cigarettes without any markings in front of the General Dean. This is made internally by the tobacco factory, containing traditional Chinese medicine ingredients that do not harm the body and are circulated internally. Over time, it is said to be a special supply cigarette. You stinky kid, why don't you give me a head up here? Go, take it. My eyes are about to fall off, and I'm not making any progress. Li Chongqing took a package of unopened special supplies from his desk drawer and threw it over. How could that be, teacher? You need to talk about your enlightenment. Don't talk about it, it feels different when you smoke this good cigarette. Ziye quickly and accurately caught the cigarette, immediately stuffed it into his pocket. With lightning speed, he took the bag on the table and lit it, took a deep breath, and said with a face full of intoxication. Then he naturally put the pack of cigarettes into another pocket. You don't want any face at all, Li Chongqing said with a black line on her face and a twitch at the corner of her mouth. How could there be such a thing? Teacher, I call it diligence, thrift, and frugality. I know how to live a good life, and now these little girls like me. Ziye said with a face full of flattery. Just kidding. As a qualified military officer, the glorious traditional concept of picking up something before going out is equivalent to losing it, must be promoted. Take your file away, I have already signed it. Go back and get your bedding roll. Hurry up and roll it over, don't get in my way. Also, since you have decided, then work hard and call me if you have any difficulties. Okay, teacher, then I'm leaving. Please take care of yourself. After leaving, Ziye wore a cunning and successful smile on his face. That's right, the last sentence he talked about for half a day was to prepare for the future transformation of the military. After all, after the transformation, we need a large number of highly educated and intelligent cadres and technical personnel. Where can we find them? It must be the school. Now that the worries have been resolved, we can go to the Steel 7th Company and take up our responsibilities. Waha, I'm here from Steel 7th Company. Chapter 2. Rise of Great Powers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding, the system is starting up. On the train from Shanqing to Beijing, a voice suddenly rang out in Ziye's mind. He was suddenly startled while resting. Then he took a long sigh of relief and finally arrived. Congratulations to the host for completing their studies and officially embarking on their military career. The system is currently on, and it is a system for the rise of great powers. This system aims to build the host into the most powerful new era soldier. The newbie gift package is being released. Congratulations to the host for mastering the physical sacrifice training method and assassin training manual of the last century's Yanguo army. A traditional Chinese medicine bath prescription, the profound meaning of the Master Level 8 Extremes Fist Hanging Technique. Python twisting. Let's start indoctrinating below. Hey, don't worry, just explain to me first. Oh, I'll wipe it. Without any defense, you just appeared in my mind like this. Before Ziye could react, a sharp pain hit his mind, and his vast knowledge almost turned him into a fool. Ding, the reward distribution is complete. The system is disconnected, and we are about to go to other worlds to help our Huaxia tribe rise. Please allow the host country to break free from enemy blockade in advance in this world, stand at the top of the world, and recreate the prosperous era of Qin Emperor and Han Wu. Don't worry, I will. Ziye spoke firmly, with a palpitating sharp gleam in his eyes. In my past life, as a grassroots soldier in the Yan country army, after serving in the military for 5 years, he retired from active service under the trend of military reform because the country needs high-tech and highly educated talents. In order to make the country stronger, Li Ziye had to take off his beloved military uniform and return to the local area to support local construction. Although Li Ziye later became wealthy, but I often dream back to the military camp at midnight, and the next day when I open my eyes, my pillow gets wet all over. Li Ziye knows, although his body has returned to its place, his soul has been stuck in the place that haunts his soul, the place that he dreams of going back to, which is called a military camp. So after he came to this world, he worked hard to get into a military academy. In the military academy, he is even more strict with himself because he doesn't want to be a lonely ghost anymore. Once he regains his senses, immediately check the system rewards last century, the sacrifice of the body training method of the Yanhua army. As the name suggests, it is the earliest training method for our army's death squad during the war of the last century. Soldiers trained according to this method can chase the stars and moon in the sky, and catch turtles in the 5 seas. Although there is a bit of boasting, it is also far from ordinary people's understanding. It gathers the most elite soldiers on the battlefield, namely the early special forces. But when it comes to it, it's much more impressive than the current special forces, and training has no protective measures at all. Good guy, during climbing training, he used his fingers to pick out the small seam and went up with a whoosh. Either use a bamboo pole to prop it up, and with that force, it's like pedaling 3 wheels, making sparks fly. It can be imagined how amazing it is. Compared to our predecessors, the current special forces are simply not worth watching. As the saying goes, being a soldier without practicing martial arts is not considered fulfilling one's duty. Not being proficient in martial arts is not considered a qualified soldier. That's great. Now, when I'm dozing off, I'll come to my pillow and form a special assault team. Well, I've come up with a name, just call it the Hunter Special Assault Team. There's nothing wrong with it, old A. What's that? I haven't heard of it before. Yuan Lang, this can have any problems. Li Ziye was overjoyed and quickly looked at the next one, Assassin Training Handbook. Unlike the training of special forces, assassins need to fill their camouflage lurking and one-hit kill skills, and demand a one-hit hit. If something cannot be done, they should abandon the assassination and retreat immediately. There is only one requirement for an assassin, with the premise of being alive. If one's own life is threatened, one can choose to give up the task, because training an assassin is different from training a soldier, and just values are enough to overturn ordinary people's cognition. But Li Ziye smiled when he saw this, because in his impression, there were just a few suitable people. A traditional Chinese medicine bath prescription. Its function is to repair hidden injuries that occurred during human training and enhance physical fitness. Li Ziye rubbed his eyes, and after 2 seconds, he stared wide and round. Wipe, with this great thing, you can practice like dead. The formation of special assault teams and assassins can be put on the agenda now. Assassins and hunters, 1 + 1 is greater than 2. I'll beat up all the shit for you. Still old A, still A's biggest, still beheading. Wash and sleep now. Next, Li Ziye squinted his eyes and continued to look down. The profound meaning of the Master Level 8 Extremes Fist, between heaven and earth, the 9 provinces and 8 poles, means, to exert force to reach places far and wide in all directions. Baji Quan belongs to the short boxing technique, which emphasizes the techniques of cutting and holding every inch, and hard-hitting in opening. Truly possessing the characteristics of being touched, helped, squeezed, leaned, collapsed, and shaken as commonly described. The 8 Extremes Fist exerts its power on the heel, runs around the waist, and passes through the fingertips of the hand, making it highly explosive and distinctive in martial arts. It has a great momentum of shaking the arm and hitting the sky, stomping the feet and shaking the 9 provinces. Therefore, in the traditional Chinese martial arts world, the 8 Extremes boxing is known as having Tai Chi to pacify the world, and having the 8 extremes to determine the universe. Well, this is good. It's still at the level of a master. Who dares to engage in close combat with me? Hanging technique. Python twisting, as the name suggests, the use of python entanglement and strangulation has evolved into ground strangulation techniques. Oh, the feeling of invincibility is so lonely like snow. Oh no, I can't. I need to calm down and go to sleep. Well, the next step is to take up the position in the Steel 7th Company. Chapter 3. Gaocheng. Will Steel 7th Company dissolve? How do I? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The fourth day, 3:00 p.m., finally arrived. Ziye, who had been on the green train for 3 days, appeared at the entrance of the 702 Regiment camp with a backpack and a dusty face. Looking at the gate of the 702 Regiment, he exclaimed with emotion on his face, "Lift your backpack and walk towards the sentry post." "Hello Chief, please present your identification documents." The sentry at the entrance, holding an bai bar, stopped Ziye outside the warning line and said with a wary expression, "Hey comrade, hello, I am the newly appointed instructor of Steel 7th Company. My name is Ziye, here are my documents and notification letter." "Okay leader, thank you for your cooperation. I will report to the duty room now." "Chief, you can go in now. The duty room has asked you to report to the regimental headquarters." The sentry saluted Ziye and said, "Okay, comrade, thank you for your hard work." Ziye quickly raised his hand to salute at the entrance of the office of Captain Wang Qingrui. Ziye stood upright in front of the team headquarters. I carefully organized my military uniform, lifted my head, and took a deep breath. Dong dong dong, report, come in. Yes. Pushing open the door, a middle-aged man wearing a camouflage suit with a military rank of 23 cents and another young man with a rank of 13 cents were sitting on a chair, swallowing clouds and mist. "Report to Captain Ziye, reporting to you." Ziye saluted and said, "Oh, Comrade Midnight, you have finally arrived. Hurry up and sit down. Come over from the mountain city. You've been exhausted all the way, right? Let's take a break first." The head of the delegation, Wang Qingrui, said with a mouthful of Trump, "Let me introduce you to Gaocheng, the commander of Steel 7th Company, who will be your next partner. Didn't I hear that you came and insisted on waiting for you here?" "Hello, I am Takagi. Just call me Lao Chi. The other cadres in the regiment call me that." The name of the mad dog Ziye has long been heard of. Takagi stood up and smiled as he reached out his hand. "Hello, I am Ziye. You can call me Lao Li or Midnight." The title of Armored Tiger High City is also like thunder piercing through the ears. Ziye reached out his hand and held it with Gaocheng. "Okay, that's settled. You call me Lao Chi, I call you Lao Li." With a slap of his hand, Takagi made the decision. All right, since you both know each other, hurry up and get out of here. Don't obstruct my eyes here. I manage a lot of things every day. Especially you, Takagi. Run to me 8 times a day, you're almost done with your eyes." Captain Wang Qingrui waved his hand and said with a disdainful expression, "Yes, goodbye, Captain." Gaocheng and Ziye saluted, then picked up their backpacks and left Steel 7th Company Division. Come on, hit me. I brought it from the principal's office." Ziye took out a special testimony from Principal Li Chongqing and handed it to Gaocheng. "Oh, this is a good cigarette." Takagi took it over with a surprised expression and said, "I clicked on myself." While speaking half an hour later, a burst of laughter came from the platoon. "Ha ha ha, Lao Li, you still have an appetite for me." "I didn't say anything, just have any ideas to do. If someone doesn't cooperate, tell me. I can't kill him." Gaocheng said with a happy expression on his face, and at the same time, he also strongly agreed with him in his heart. After chatting with Ziye for half an hour, it was discovered that Ziye had real abilities on him, unlike the platoon leader who had just stepped down from the platoon. But looking back, if you don't have some skills, how could you graduate with the rank of captain? It is estimated that in the military talent reserve pool, Ziye is definitely one of the top roles among young cadres. Because Gaocheng's question about Ziye involves the armored command profession, this is definitely not the kind of student soldier who talks on paper. 7. I have to tell you something. You should be prepared. Ziye's face was serious. "Hi, Lao Li, just say it, if there is any major matter, be calm when faced with it. Ah, just like me, calm and composed, Gaocheng regained his true nature and said with a look of disrespect, okay, I'll make you laugh. I don't believe you won't react when you hear the news that Steel's 7th Company is going to disband. Li Ziye has a black line on his face. Steel's 7th Company may be disbanded, Li Ziye said with a plain expression. Papa, what are you saying? Gaocheng patted the table and stood up, squinting his eyes in displeasure. Steel's 7th Company to be disbanded. Fart, it's impossible. I step on a horse. You shut up. Before Gaocheng could finish speaking, Li Ziye quickly stepped forward and covered his mouth with his hand. Then I pushed open the door and looked left and right. Seeing no one around, he closed the door and said, "Do you want everyone to know this news?" Gaocheng also reacted and reached out his face, lowering his voice and saying, I said loudly, "Where did you get the news from? Why haven't I received any news?" Takagi holds a skeptical attitude towards this news because as a son of a general, he has a very wide range of information channels. He didn't believe that Li Ziye knew such a secret, but he didn't hear anything at all for Steel's 7th Company. Takagi's emotions are very complex because this is his first company after graduating from the military academy, and he has been in it for almost 7 years. The spirit of Gang Qilian flows in his blood, being treated as his own backbone by him. Can you believe that you're telling him your spine is going to break now? Any soldier from the 7th Company is definitely a top student in the other companies. If these 7 companies are disbanded, what will happen to so many soldiers? Either arrange for a job transfer, or it will be divided among other companies. No, absolutely no. When Gaocheng thinks of this, he is in a fit of anger. Taking a glance at Li Ziye, I noticed that he was sitting steadily on the chair, and I couldn't help but feel angry. Hey, no, I said loudly, why don't you panic at all? Also, where did you hear this news from? What's the rush? This news won't come down for at least a year. As for how do I know? Did you forget? My teacher is a lieutenant general. Li Ziye held a cigarette in his hand, took a puff at the cigarette ring, and said with a forced expression, I can't say I've watched this TV series in my last life. Do I know the plot? Fortunately, after coming into this world, my master was a lieutenant general. Mom, going to school is really useful. I can make it all come back. Damn it, mad, he's pretending to be there. I usually pretend to be pushy in front of others, but today I was considered a failure. Gaocheng has a gloomy expression on his face. Seeing Gaocheng's gloomy face, Li Ziye couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Next, I'm going to start performing. How can I reform and restructure Steel's 7th Company without suppressing you? How to keep Shi Jin and Wu Liuyi. If Steel's 7th Company wants to be preserved, it must undergo reforms, and it needs to be disrupted and synthesized into groups. The most suitable option is to transform the Armored Reconnaissance Company, Steel's 7th Company, into a 21st century composite battalion from the previous generation, the steel tide of the 21st century. Indeed, men should play with tanks, and in my previous life, I was a member of the Synthetic Brigade. I have a clear understanding of what the Synthetic Brigade looks like. Just copy the answer directly first, lure Gaocheng over, and the rest will be easy to handle. Well, that's all for now. After Li Ziye made up his mind, he looked up and said to Gaocheng, all right, Gao, I won't joke with you anymore. Let's get down to business. Old Gao, have you ever thought about it? Although there is still 1 year left for this matter, we should have prepared early now. Li Ziye said seriously with a serious expression on his face. How do you prepare for this? Gaocheng said with a puzzled expression, begging for flowers. Chapter 4. Huyou, then Huyou. You are listening at novelfull.audio. First of all, we need to think carefully about why the Steel's 7th Company needs to be removed from above. Not just us, we all need to think about it. Old Gao, have you ever thought of a question? What question, do you think? Gaocheng said nonchalantly while smoking. Li Ziye felt a sense of confidence at the sight of Gaocheng. I think I'll give you a powerful medicine. Didn't you think about a question? Why are there so many units in the entire army group? Unfortunately, they want to have our Steel 7 Company undergo surgery. Have you ever thought about this question? Upon hearing Li Ziye's words, Gaocheng immediately doubted whether he had heard them wrong. The meaning of this sentence is that the problem lies with me. Don't think you're the instructor of Steel 7th Company, you can criticize me as the company leader casually. Gaocheng absolutely does not allow anyone to blame him on the matter of Steel 7th Company. Li Ziye, don't think you can blame me now that you're our company's instructor. You've only been here for less than a day. Do you know what Steel 7th Company is? Do you understand the meaning of these 6 words? Don't give up, don't give up. Gaocheng excitedly said, Steel 7th Company, he is fearless of everything. He has completed 3 reorganizations 3 times, and how many ancestors have died? The flag of Steel 7th Company, red with their blood. Li Ziye was not affected by Gaocheng's excited appearance of wanting to eat himself. Calmly lit a cigarette and then threw it to Takagi, smoking. Li Ziye asked. Gaocheng glanced at Li Ziye and suddenly the proud and coquettish temper of Princess 7 came up. Before Li Ziye spoke clearly, he would never smoke a cigarette given by Li Ziye again. Even if this cigarette has a price but no market, it is difficult to get it. Li Ziye took a deep breath upon seeing this. Everyone get up, I need to start packing. Cough, no, I'm going to start performing now. Idle people, please retreat to avoid splashing blood all over at this moment. The best actor is online, Comrade Gaocheng. I didn't call him Lao Chi, nor did I mention the platoon leader. I called him a comrade. Those who have served in the military know that when someone calls you comrade, it indicates the importance of the matter. It also means he's going to give you a higher altitude. Comrade Gaocheng, although I just arrived at our 7th Company today, it doesn't mean that I don't understand our 7th Company. Our Steel Company has a continuous history of 57 years. Today, 4,993 soldiers have arrived at my place. 3 rounds of polishing and 3 rounds of reconstruction. Speaking of which, Li Ziye picked up a glass of water for himself and took a sip to moisten his throat. Looking at Gaocheng's dull expression, Li Ziye thought to himself, where is this Steel 7th Company, my Steel 7th Company? Gaocheng's eyes began to moisten unnaturally. The next second, I realized that I was sitting in front of a young man of the same level, not a senior military officer. The armored tiger's face turned black and he explained, what's going on? I don't know what's going on in the capital these years. The weather has been getting worse and worse, with a lot of haze and sand blinding my eyes. While pretending to rub his eyes, Takagi lit a cigarette for himself and said, stubborn arrogance and coquettishness are on display. It's like the weather in Beijing is really bad, although the weather in the capital city in later generations is truly indescribable. Li Ziye sneered expressionlessly at night. Comrade Gaocheng, it's already this time, you still have the mood to joke. The sharp words stunned Gaocheng, who had just lit a cigarette, and he suspected that his hearing had been affected. Turning back to confirm the gaze. Damn it. Captain Ziye has a righteous expression on his face. I'm the armor-piercing tiger of T. class, not like you. The eyebrows furrowed tightly, and the mad dog furrowed its brows. Who is the unlucky one? Let's not talk about it for now. Li Ziye could hear Gaocheng's tolerance for him, but with a mentality of not breaking through, not standing up, and having a strong morale, he could only continue to deceive him. A thunderbolt, a sword, and a fierce tiger. Steel 7. Old Gao, you may think I'm cruel, but I never expected you to watch as Steel 7th Company disbands. Gaocheng's pupils contract instantly, and I watch helplessly. Do you really know what our 7 Company's faith is? Growing up so big is really a sight to behold. I don't understand. Do you understand? Do you still know those 6 words, don't abandon, don't give up, and those 2 words, the highest honor of our soldiers? Sacrifice. Damn it, give me that high altitude. No matter how excellent your armored command quality is, you are known as the armor-piercing tiger, but in my opinion, for the 7th Company, you are not a good company commander either. You're going too far by saying that to me. I'll tell you, the Steel 7th Company is not a wall full of awards and first class or several level achievements in the honor room. The 7th Company is a person, composed of countless ancestors' souls. He is the common home of 4,993 soldiers. But what about you? You actually let the 7th Company fall, and what are you doing now? I'm not. I don't have it. Don't talk nonsense. Gaocheng's face was deformed, and a pair of eyes looked at Li Ziye incredulously. A huge heartache and grievance instantly filled the entire body. Seeing that Gaocheng was on the brink of collapse, Li Ziye decided to take the last dose of powerful medicine. Old Gao, you've never thought of a problem before. What problem? You've been a company commander for these past few years. What have you brought to Steel 7th Company? Yes, Steel 7 has completed 3 restructuring attempts in a row and obtained 3 collective first-class merits. But what does that have to do with you? What have you done for the 7th Company, including our entire company? What have you done for the 7th Company now? I'll tell you, no, I haven't done anything. Even now, 7th Company is about to face the end of being disbanded due to our inaction. There's a saying that goes well, we only have the obligation to bring glory to the company, and we have no right to smear the company. Li took a deep breath at night and released the last rocket. Don't forget, our Steel 7th Company was once called the 7th Interpenetrating Company during the anti-Japanese war. Think about it and write a review letter for me to submit after thinking it over. After dinner, the entire company's club gathered and Steel 7th Company conducted a review from top to bottom. The theme is what I have brought to Steel 7th Company. After leaving a sentence behind, Li Ziye stood up and walked towards the door, touching his stomach while walking. Mad, it's been a while and I don't know if anyone can bring me something to eat. I have to go to the cooking class to eat on time, and after finishing, I also need to write a report on the informatization transformation of Steel 7th Company to it inside. Takagi sat with a dejected expression on his face. My mind is filled with Li Ziye's words. What have you done for the 7th Company, including our entire company? What have you done for the 7th Company now? I'll tell you, no, I haven't done anything. We only have the obligation to bring glory to the company, and we have no right to smear the company. Don't forget, our Steel 7th Company was once called the 7th Interpenetrating Company during the anti-Japanese war. You've been a company commander for these past few years. What have you brought to Steel 7th Company? The silence at this moment is deafening. Yeah. What have I brought to Steel 7th Company? Chapter 5. Reform of Steel 7th Company. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time. Around 5:20 p.m., location. Steel 7th Company headquarters. At this moment, Li Ziye was crouching on his desk as he rubbed the pen against the paper in his hand. Neatly arranged regular script appeared one by one on information warfare, on the career planning of non-commissioned officers, plan for the reorganization of battalion-level units in Steel 7th Company. What I bring to Steel 7th Company. Throw away the 4th one and don't talk about it, put the remaining 3 together. A thick stack of A4 paper is almost thicker than the theoretical book of the Armor Command Department of the Army Academy. Actually, this was almost written by Li Ziye beforehand, otherwise, it would take just over 2 hours to write it out. That's a bit exaggerated. I dare not write novels like that. Duty officer, Li Ziye shouted outside to. With a few clicks, Shijin, who was on duty this week, ran over and saluted Li Ziye, saying, "Hello instructor, what can I do for you?" Li Ziye took a look. Hey, this should be Shijin. He looks a bit like Zhang Yi. Oh, are you class monitor Shijin? Yes, instructor, I am a class leader named Shijin. Well, you're Shijin. That's great. I've heard of you before, and it's true that seeing you is better than hearing it all. The instructor laughed at me. It's not worth mentioning. Shijin humbly said, where did the platoon leader go, do you know? Instructor, platoon leader, this meeting should be at the club. Do you need me to call him over? No need to trouble you, I'll go find him. By the way, Shijin, remember something during dinner. You said, instructor. Shijin took out his diary and notes. After watching the news at night, I gathered at the club wearing a hat, a belt and a horse. Li Ziye stood up and said, instructor, are you going to do this? Shijin has some doubts. Oh, it's okay. Didn't I just come here? I happen to get to know all the brothers in the company tonight. Li Ziye put on his hat and said, you don't just mean to get to know each other, do you wearing a hat and a belt? All right, I'll go to the youth league headquarters. If there's anything you need, please arrange it temporarily. We can't solve it. We'll talk about it when the platoon leader and I come back. Li Ziye picked up the thick pile of paper on the table and went out. Yes, the instructor is walking slowly. Shi Jin scratched his head. He had just arrived a few hours ago and had to go to the youth league headquarters again. There's something wrong with this new instructor. Did he catch someone's braid? In the car, Li Ziye and Gaocheng sat in the back row. Gao, take a look at these 3 reports first. Li Ziye handed one of the plans to Gaocheng. After connecting to Gaocheng, open it and take a look. As soon as I saw the title on the cover page, I was so scared that I dropped the report at my feet because it says, Plan for adapting battalion level units from Steele's 7th Company, but Gaocheng quickly picked up the report again. 10 minutes later. After reading the report twice in a row, Gaocheng finally looked at Li Ziye with a surprised look and said, Old Li, are you really fake? Is Steele's 7th Company going to become Steele's 7th Camp? Li Ziye ignored Gaocheng, but instead, he sorted out Takagi's hat and collar. This operation has left Gaocheng a bit confused. Comrade Company Commander, I am now addressing you as the instructor of Steele's 7th Company and the party branch secretary. Please answer truthfully. Yes. Gaocheng answers loudly. Although I don't know why Li Ziye is so serious, since it involves Steele's 7th Company, I have to raise my ears to listen. Just one question, as the captain of Steele's 7th Company, are you willing to give it a new life? Transforming Steele's 7th Company into Steele's 7th Camp and spreading the spirit of Steele's 7th Company widely, are you willing to do anything for the future of Steele's 7th Company? Even if it makes you feel embarrassed about something, Li Ziye passionately said. After Li Ziye asked this question, he keenly felt that the atmosphere inside the car suddenly became tense, even adding a sense of solemnity. With a loud bang, I saw Gaocheng, the armored tiger, slap his seat and stare at Li Ziye with red eyes, fiercely saying, Comrade instructor, I am willing. For the sake of Steele's 7th Company, I am willing to give everything I have, no matter what my face is. It's okay to take my life. Okay. Li Ziye extended his hands and tightly grasped Gaocheng together. For the Steele's 7th Company. For the Steele's 7th Company. Gaocheng also looked at Li Ziye and said so. A combination of everyone shouting and killing, known as the Mad Dog, Sick Tiger, emerged, and they will also uphold the spirit of the martyrs of the Steele's 7th Company and lead it to a higher peak. Tell me, what's up between you two? It's already time for dinner, said Captain Wang Qingrui, smoking as he watched the two of them. Wang Qingrui was a bit puzzled because these two goods just left here 2 hours ago, so why did they come back? He keenly felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, as soon as Li Ziye spoke, he took a deep breath. Comrade reporting team leader, after discussion by the party branch, Steele's 7th Company has decided to carry out reform and restructuring in order to adapt to the latest situation in the world today. Reform. How about changing the leather of the hammer properly? After hearing about the reform, Wang Qingrui felt a little unhappy in his heart. Why? Because reform means change, and change means problems will arise. So who is responsible when problems arise? Throughout the decades in Yan country, military reform has always been carried out under the command of superior leaders. Every reform means hurting one's muscles and bones. Now you're telling me that your company-level unit needs to undergo reforms after making others hear it. They really want to laugh their teeth into their stomachs. Moreover, as a team leader, he doesn't want the units below to come up with a solution because no one knows what the superiors are considering with such a mindset. Wang Qingrui opened a report handed to him by Li Ziye. Just as soon as the report was opened, Wang Qingrui immediately changed his previous thoughts because the first page of the report, which had just opened, was filled with a sentence. Steele's 7th Company has been lying on the past credit book for decades, sucking the blood of the martyrs, sucking the blood of Steele's 7th Company. Steele's 7th Company's heart has already failed, so we need to undergo a blood exchange now. Hush, that's a bit harsh to say, right? Anyway, Steele's 7th Company is also the top armored reconnaissance company in the entire T division. It's not as serious as you said, right? With such doubts in mind, Wang Qingrui took a sudden puff of his cigarette and pointed to the chair without lifting his head. Without saying a word, He continued to read. Upon seeing this, Li Ziye and Gaocheng pulled chairs and sat down, then took the half-pack of Honghe in front of Wang Qingrui and directly started smoking. Half an hour later, Wang Qingrui looked up and wanted to light a cigarette for himself, but when he reached out, he didn't touch anything. Glancing fiercely at Takagi, he took out a new package from the drawer and opened it, then took out one and held it in his mouth. Seeing this, Takagi was very ruthless and pointed his finger at the captain. Hush. Ha. Take a hard puff. I understand your requirements, and I personally support you. But this matter needs to be discussed in a meeting, so the problem shouldn't be too big. Also, in just 6 months, I want to see the results. Because maybe there will be another exercise one day. After a huge psychological struggle, Wang Qingrui ultimately chose to support him because this is the most powerful plan he has ever seen to enhance combat effectiveness. I haven't heard of many of the combat strategies proposed inside. After exchanging a glance with Gaocheng, Li Ziye immediately extinguished the cigarette and stood up immediately, saying, "Yes, we guarantee to complete the task. If there's nothing to do, just go clean and don't get in my way." Wang Qingrui was very unhappy. "So what, Captain? I still have 2 reports here." Li Ziye scratched his head and said awkwardly. Chapter 6. A Groundbreaking Reform Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After speaking, Li Ziye handed over the remaining 2 reports. Captain Wang Qingrui blinked, but the thick stack of A4 paper was completely bewildered. "I thought it was over, but now tell me there's still. Son of a bitch, are you teasing me?" The thickness of dozens of papers stacked together seemed to silently mock him. On information warfare, on the career planning of non-commissioned officers. Shocked. I dumped 3 times at once. Wang Qingrui swallowed his saliva, with a slightly eerie expression in his eyes. If we don't look at the content of these 2 reports, any one of them, just the title, is enough to serve as a demonstration and reference title for military reform. It can be imagined how much gold it contains. Open the first one in a blank space of the brain. On information warfare. What is the essence of information warfare? Control of the battlefield. Communication. An absolute advantage over the opponent. None of them are. The answer is data calculation. The results were given in the conclusion given by Li Ziye, looking at the results of various exercises conducted by Yan Guo for decades. A post-war review can reveal a problem that others tend to overlook. During routine exercises, the presence of special forces, in addition to beheading each unit during exercises, there's one more thing that nobody noticed. Or rather, they noticed it, but nobody took it seriously. That is a miniature command post composed of several training staff officers, which can simultaneously detect and calculate the dynamic changes of dozens or even hundreds of target units on the entire battlefield, and then make the best response based on the mobilization changes of each unit. This represents a highly coordinated distribution of firepower and troops, representing the high efficiency of the command system, representing the multiple selectivity and flexibility of tactics, accurate data calculation, reasonable tactical arrangement, tacit personnel cooperation, efficient execution ability, and a favor of heaven created the ultimate victory. Meanwhile, studying foreign forces reveals that the U.S. Zeus combat system platform can simultaneously manage hundreds of combat units and dozens of weapons and equipment in an aircraft carrier fleet. From this, we can draw a conclusion that the most important elements of information warfare are technological warfare, data calculation, and the combination of human factors to form the battlefield mathematics theory. Touching the essence of informatization, the informatization force is a synthetic force formed by the synthesis of organization on the basis of existing collaboration. Further develop multi-service combat units. At this point, Wang Qingrui's heart stirred up. A level 12 storm. Calculate the deepest level of information warfare and synthesis. It's like piercing the sky. This report is no longer within his reach, as it involves national strategic aspects. All these useless things can cause big things. I gritted my scalp and continued to watch. It can be seen that the entire army must embark on the path of information technology reform. Taking the hypothetical enemy of the United States as an example, as a world power, the United States is active in the corners of the world battlefield. If observed carefully, it can be found that their troops have already taken the form of informatization. And it is not difficult to see from Yengua's experiences in the past few decades, the hostile countries led by the United States have not yet died of their desire to destroy our Chinese nation. Therefore, we can no longer lie on our past achievement books and be complacent. If we can't keep up with the development of the world, then it can be said without a doubt. The tragedy from decades ago will happen again. Have we ever considered a question? Our country hasn't been at war for a long time, no unit in our army has had any actual combat experience now. On the contrary, the US military is active on various battlefields around the world. If there is a war, can we still repel the enemy again? If one day the United States launches a war against our country, how should our country handle itself? Undoubtedly, it is imperative for our army to carry out information technology reform. Someone may have different opinions, I think our army is still very powerful. However, the times are advancing and society is developing. Here, I would like to ask a few questions to the entire army. If there is a war, can we go to war? Can we win the battle? I want to say, practice for war, not for watching, sweat more during normal times, and bleed less during wartime. I would rather prepare than fight, not be able to fight but not be prepared, damn it. Captain Wang's heart suddenly ignited. As an old soldier walking down from the battlefield, these words have been written into his heart, but at the same time, I feel a bit flustered in my heart. MD, are you going to war on the entire army? Surprisingly, it is said that the current army of Yenguo will no longer be able to fight, although Wang Qingrui had already agreed with Li Ziye's viewpoint in his heart at this time, but he could foresee the expression on his superior's face when he saw this report in the future. The exercises of the Yen country army can be foreseen and will definitely move towards practicality. Pick up Li Ziye and hand him the third report on the career planning of non-commissioned officers. Wang Qingrui is unable to roast about the shock of the title. Light a cigarette that Li Ziye handed to him at night, and there's no time to feel the taste of the special supply. Look directly at the content of the report, non-commissioned officers, as an important pillar of the military's combat effectiveness. Our current use of officers is too singular. The development plan of non-commissioned officers is not clear, and the potential and value of the non-commissioned officers group have not been fully realized, resulting in wastage of human resources. Suggest establishing a non-commissioned officer school independent of military academies to strengthen the career planning of the non-commissioned officer group. Eliminate resource waste and backdoor activities. With a loud bang, Wang Qingrui closed the report and put on his hat to confront Li Ziye and Gaocheng. Dao, you guys go back first and train according to your ideas. But pay attention to the methods, don't worry. I have something else to do, I need to go out. Without waiting for a response from the two, he left the room. Directly upon seeing Li Ziye and Gaocheng, they began to have a dispute in their hearts. Steady, Steel 7 Company is saved. The two of them quickly walked downstairs, got in the car, and drove towards the direction of Steel 7th Company. Chapter 7. Establishment of Diamondback Snake. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Time 19.40. Location. Steel 7th Company Club. Hello brothers, my name is Li Ziye and I am your new political instructor. I just took office today, and the reason why I'm gathering everyone here now is mainly because I want to get to know my brothers. Of course, there are also other things I need to discuss and exchange with everyone. In the club, dozens of soldiers from the Steel 7th Company formed an angular formation resembling javelins. Li Ziye and Gaocheng stood in front of the queue, their eyes sharp as they scanned each person wherever it has passed, except for a few individuals. Others unconsciously avoided Li Ziye's scrutinizing gaze. Li Ziye had a dispute in his heart. First, let me introduce myself to everyone. My name is Li Ziye, and I am 22 years old this year. I graduated with a PhD from the Army Command Academy. Some of you will definitely think that I am just a student soldier who only knows how to talk on paper. It's okay, the days are still long. As we get along, I will refresh your understanding of me. Takagi felt a bit sad for the brothers of the 7th Company on the side. The instructor with such a beast on the stall can be considered to have taken it out by you. According to my joint discussion with the platoon leader and approval from superiors, the decision will be made. From now on, our Steel 7th Company will undergo experimental reform and restructuring. The time is 1 year, but reform does not mean a decrease in combat effectiveness. During this period, we will experience various exercises, and we will use victory to prove it. Our Steel 7th Company is still the strongest even during the restructuring period. Speaking of which, Li Ziye asked the team, comrades, do you know what the military is? So, Shi Jin, can you talk about what the military is in your understanding? Upon hearing this, Shi Jin suddenly felt a little confused. Why is there anything else about me when you talk about me? But the royal guards immediately reacted and answered quickly, in my understanding, the military is responsible for maintaining national security. Without the military, the country would face a crisis. My answer is complete. Li Ziye then casually pointed to another person. Hey, you, that second-class monitor, what's your name? Report, my name is Huyou. Oh, I know Huyou. Is it the deputy class leader of our platoon's 3rd class? Our company's famous elites ranked among the top in the group army competition. People give off nicknamed armor-piercing bullets. That's great, not bad. So, could you answer, what is a military? Huyou raised his head with a resounding thud. Report, the military is like a melting pot, it gathers people from all over the country and turns them into one family. Li Ziye's expression remained unchanged because their answers did not surprise him. I raised my hand and looked at the time. It's already 8 o'clock. The time is just right. Okay, both of these class monitors have said a good thing. Let me share with you my understanding of the military. What is the military? The military is the strongest backing of a country's diplomacy. The military has been the country's largest violent organization from ancient times to the present day. Only with a strong military can our country have the confidence to say no to the world. Speaking of which, I would like to ask everyone, do we now have the ability to dare to say no to the world? No one in the team spoke up because they really didn't have the ability now. Even Gaocheng put away his smile, feeling a bit heavy in his heart. No, I'll tell you why, because we are not yet the strongest in the world. Why not? Because of us, because of you, because our current training is not rigorous enough, our training methods are not scientific enough, and our weapons and equipment are not advanced enough. But ultimately, the reason is that our training intensity is not enough. Huyou, tell me, are you demanding enough of yourself? I'll tell you, it's not enough. If it's tough enough, you won't just take the 2nd place in the entire division for 5 kilometers. I tell you, others won't remember who came in 2nd, they only remember who came in 1st. Huyou silently lowered his head as he listened, because he couldn't refute it. A few questions. Firstly, after serving as a soldier for these past few years, what have you brought to Steel 7th Company? Secondly, why is Steel 7th Company called Steel 7th Company? Is it because you are called Steel 7th Company? Thirdly, do you deserve the Steel 7th Company? After the meeting, find time to write a review yourself. What did I bring to Steel 7th Company? After finishing writing, the duty officer handed it over to me. Alright, I'll just say that much nonsense. Let's get down to business. In order to further strengthen military construction, from now on, Steel 7th Company will conduct comprehensive military training. At the same time, the company formed a special assault team, codenamed Diamondback. Personnel will be selected from the entire company, with requirements for strong physical fitness and a unique skill. Only 6 personnel are needed. Additionally, establish an assassin team, and I will personally select the assassin personnel. Comprehensive training of the entire company. The time is 2 months. During this period, I will observe everyone's performance, choose outstanding comrades to join the assault team and assassins. Okay, that's all I have to say. Lao Gao, do you have anything else to say? After Li Ziye finished speaking, he turned to ask Gaocheng, you finished speaking, haven't you? Gaocheng is still immersed in Li Ziye's words. Listen to him and quickly organize your language. Have you all heard what the instructor said? So what? I still said that sentence. It's a mule or a horse, pull it out for a walk. At the same time, I have discussed with the instructor that during this training process, priority will be given to outstanding year-end merit evaluations and promotion to non-commissioned officers. I hope everyone has points in their hearts, wishing everyone a good night's sleep tonight. After speaking, he exchanged a glance with Takagi and left the club with a malicious look in his eyes. At 2 a.m. at night, two sneaky figures appeared downstairs from Steel 7th Company. Chapter 8. The Program Ape Department in the Army. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. In the quiet night, the autumn breeze is gentle yet carries a hint of coolness, but it can't cool down the iron blood and excitement in the military camp time. 1:00 in the morning. Location: Army Training Department of Group A. The A Group Military Training Headquarters building under the Beijing Military Region. The sentry with a gun hanging on his chest was standing guard with a rigorous expression on duty in places that ordinary people cannot see. 6 ghostly figures are lurking in the darkness. People from the outside world call it a covert outpost, while internal personnel call it a covert outpost near the military office building of Group A, a hidden outpost composed of 6 people in small groups. Is unknown how many people may only be understood by their own internal personnel at this time. The on-duty cadres came out of the office building with the unique urine characteristics of the training unit to patrol the various duty points on duty tonight. I don't know how many unlucky people will be on the star exposure platform within the group army the next day. It can be imagined that the fate of these unlucky people will not be very good at this time. The duty officer passed by the government cafeteria during the patrol process. After hesitating for a while, he walked in and found a 4th cooking class leader with a severely deformed figure and a big belly. So what, class monitor Gao? Our head of the training department and other training staff are still working overtime. You see, could you arrange for 2 brothers to make some late-night snacks on your end? Colonel Wang Jianxuan, the head of the Group Army Training Department, is a well-known workaholic within the group army. As for the staff members of the training department, they are like IT program apes, achieving great collective achievements and shining brightly. It's like copying and pasting. Kututuo, the cooking class leader, quickly agreed upon hearing these words. Okay, brother, rest assured. At the latest, it will be ready on our end in half an hour. In 20 minutes, you can find someone to pick it up. The duty officer felt relieved upon hearing these words. Hey, okay, thank you, class monitor Gao. Hi, what a big deal, you hurry up and get busy. The duty officer complained while walking. MD, who exactly is that dog spreading rumors? What's the point of the cooking squad leader being too big? Where is it too big? Isn't this quite amiable and approachable? If I know who it came from, I must let him taste it. What he doesn't actually know is whether the current head of training and the cooking squad leader are soldiers of the same year or from the same town, so the relationship goes without saying. If someone else wants to stay up late, perhaps this cooking squad leader has acted like someone else's rumor at this moment. The training center is shrouded in smoke. The training department is a department that assists the staff department in carrying out a series of tasks such as combat, training, assessment, and exercises for its subordinate units. The work pace of the training department is exceptionally busy in daily life. Working overtime until early morning is a daily routine. The story that made the A Group Army Training Department famous overnight was during a large-scale military exercise at the Group Army level, led by Minister Wang Jianxuan. The entire training department worked overtime overnight for a week. Every day, I have to eat and live in the training department, schedule shifts, and haven't returned home for a whole week. It is said that after the exercise, Comrade Wang Jianxuan returned to his family home and was punished by his great military sister. Law to kneel on the keyboard. They said they couldn't buy durian in the courtyard, so they came back to the second place and didn't know where to find a keyboard. I don't know who brought it to me, but it is said that the next day, a trainee platoon leader who had just entered the training department was cursed with dog blood. To be honest, in the compound of the group army, Wang Jianxuan didn't know how many military sister. Law's eyes he had eaten because of Wang Jianxuan's daily overtime work. The cadres also worked overtime, and the military sister. Law followed suit, fearing that one day their men would suddenly die in the training department conference room. The layout is simple, and the August 1st Army flag is so. Catching in this room at this moment, smoke is swirling around the cadres present. Each have a cigarette in their hand, smoking it again and again, because only nicotine can help people stay energetic during the time when they should sleep. If someone suddenly pushes open the door at this moment, they will be swept away by the strong second hand smoke. The meeting is approaching the final summary stage. At this time Colonel Wang Jianquan conducted a summary. Firstly, the 2002 annual conscription plan should be combined with the next stage of reform. Notify the human resources departments of each division and regiment to contact the local armed departments in advance. The recent incidents of withdrawal and fighting in various units have caused a lot of unpleasantness. I would like to remind you that when communicating with subordinate units, you need to strengthen political review work within the group army while ensuring the physical quality of the troops. It is recommended to strengthen the recruitment of rural soldiers. The current urban soldiers are becoming increasingly frustrated and have a bad odor. Secondly, as the discharge season approaches, the morale of various units fluctuates and there is no need to waste time. It is required that all units do a good job in ideological work and not affect their combat effectiveness. Thirdly, after saying a dozen or 20 things one after another, the meeting ended. The time is just right, and the government cafeteria has delivered a late-night snack. Low standard, uniformly colored instant noodles with fried eggs. The atmosphere relaxed as the cadres ate and talked about some pleasant topics. Wang Jianquan also smiled as he looked at everyone's faces. Take a deep puff of smoke and take a sip of instant noodles. Well, that's the feeling. Oh, by the way, everyone will finish later. And there is a file that I just want to take a look at. This was just delivered by Teacher T today. Let's have a brief discussion later. As soon as the colonel finished speaking, a discerning staff member immediately walked over and began distributing the documents. Everyone present had a copy in hand. Upon hearing these words, a certain captain's staff immediately whispered to the assistant colonel nearby to inquire, what situation, what insider information is there? The major said. I was also confused and said, I'm not sure. As is well known, even though the minister who is hated by others is notorious for being petty. Iron Rooster. But one thing that's particularly good is that it's a special task, not to mention that it's a sudden start to a topic, and then suddenly hit the staff, causing an unexpected situation to occur. In theory, at this point, staff officers who have been exhausted from morning till night can go back to their dormitories or family homes to pick up their wives and children after finishing their meals. After all, they still have to lead by example in the morning at 6 o'clock after the file is distributed to everyone. Chapter 9. Lament of a group's military training department. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The major took the document in his hand and guessed the content in his heart, hoping it wouldn't be too troublesome. However, 2 minutes later. Fuck. I'm in big trouble now. How can we briefly discuss this issue? How did you come up with the idea of discussing this topic at this point? This thing, not to mention tonight, I'm afraid I can't finish it for 3 days and 3 nights. Is it necessary to sleep tonight? Comrade Minister, you're afraid you're going crazy. On the career planning of non-commissioned officers. Your grandfathers. The topic is broad and profound. However, soon the major was attracted by the content of the document. Non-commissioned officers, as an important pillar of the military's combat effectiveness, mostly serve as the backbone of the squad leader and the commander of the troops. They are indispensable in the combat effectiveness structure of grassroots units. Referring to the military of the United States and other countries around the world, the length of service of non-commissioned officers is much longer than that of our army, and the proportion is greater than that of our army. Under the mechanism of combining conscripts and volunteers in our army, and after referring to foreign armies, the following points are worth considering. Firstly, our army's current use of non-commissioned officers is too singular, usually relying on regular training organized by division and regimental units. The disadvantage is that it wastes administrative resources. Secondly, the development plan for non-commissioned officers is not clear, and soldiers' skills learned from enlistment to retirement are too limited, and the potential and value of the non-commissioned officer group are not fully realized. There is still a long way to go before the standard of one specialty and multiple abilities is met, resulting in the waste of human resources. Thirdly, as the ultimate commander of soldiers, the role of non-commissioned officers in commanding battles is not clear. The non-commissioned officers in foreign armies actually serve as grassroots combat commanders, daily training, and management responsibilities. First-level officers in platoons and platoons are usually responsible for formulating combat plans, coordinating positions, and providing logistical support. Currently, there is a phenomenon of multiple wastes of officers and non-commissioned officers in our army. Suggest establishing a non-commissioned officer school independent of military academies, strengthening military career planning from the moment soldiers enlist, in order to achieve the rational use of the non-commissioned officer group. Eliminating resource waste and the occurrence of negative phenomena such as backdoors in the fight against limits. Shocked, extremely shocked needles can be heard falling in the conference room, and the smoke has become even stronger. The major purse is already dry and cracked lips. Extremely shocked in my heart. Which expert within the group army wrote this MD? It's really written NB. I am extremely impressed by TM. From the title to the content, it can be said that the writing is deafening and thought-provoking, providing a detailed explanation of the role and functions of non-commissioned officers, as well as the shortcomings of our current positioning of non-commissioned officers, and the final opinions and suggestions. A whole article, majestic and heart-wrenching, clearly shows a very senior understanding of grassroots troops. The bull figures in the senior commanders of Group A's army flashed through their minds frame by frame like a movie, but none of them matched the style. The bold and arrogant style in the pen is directly filled with confidence. Keep flipping to the last page without stopping. In your hand with a smile on his lips, as expected. Report writer, T Division, 702nd Regiment, Steel 7th Company, Captain Political Instructor, Li Ziye. Well, although it's a bit unbelievable to say that this level of report came from a captain, it's not unacceptable either. Cough and cough. Wang Jianxuan cleared his throat. Everyone has seen the document, a simple discussion report. Speak, cough, Minister. The report submitted by Comrade Li Ziye is very valuable, but I haven't had any ideas for a while. However, I believe that Comrade Li Ziye, as the presenter of the report, must have a more mature mindset and clear plan. I suggest that Comrade Li Ziye be seconded to the training department for guidance and explanation for a period of time, said a steady staff member with a smile. As long as the minister agrees to the secondment, he will immediately call the 702 Regiment to borrow Li Ziye, a real dog. No, it's really stable. It should definitely be seconded. That's right, that's right. It's a crime to have such a trumpeter at the grassroots level. Ah, that's right, this kind of cadre should come to our training department to shine and heat up. A group of sinister military officers and children. With every word you say, I will arrange Li Ziye to sum up, after being seconded. Not repaying. That's right. As the most outstanding quality of a field army, an excellent officer must possess the basic qualities of borrowing troops from other units. I will consider the matter of seconding Comrade Li Ziye. Upon hearing this, everyone smiled with satisfaction. As long as the minister has this idea, there is still a great chance of going to the Chief of Staff to brush off his old face. Unfortunately, they didn't see the bitter smile on the minister's face. He has already tried it before, however. Unfortunately, time goes back to today at 21:00. Office of the Chief of Staff of Group A Army. Major General Sun Xiao handed over 2 reports to Wang Jianxuan, the instructor of Steel 7th Company. Wrote it, take a look. After reading silently, Wang Jianxuan's expression was quite brilliant. Undoubtedly the most outstanding student since the establishment of the Lu Academy. From these 2 reports, it can be seen that Li Ziye's development limit is quite high. Wang Jianxuan immediately decided to use leverage. Take a deep breath and speak with a serious expression on your face. Chief, our training department is. Don't think about digging people. Teacher won't let go. His speech was interrupted, and Wang Jianxuan almost couldn't get up in one breath. Teacher T doesn't let go. He. At this moment, the Oscar-winning actor is online. Wang Jianxuan's eyes instantly moistened and he said, Chief, the training department is too difficult. It's important to oversee the military training and assessment of the group army, and you know how difficult the work is. Over the years, with the improvement of evaluation standards, the training department has been even more difficult. They say we deliberately make things difficult and hinder their progress. Let me tell you this. We are even less attractive than inspectors now. If the captain of the inspection team were here, he would definitely spit at Wang Jianxuan. If you dig people, dig people. What are you doing with me? Chapter 10. Shameful Deserters. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. I gritted my teeth and endured the scolding, all for the sake of the country and the people. Besides, the training department is just on secondment. A crying child has milk to eat. There's nothing wrong with this statement. Major General Sun Shao's face was so black that he could almost drop ink. It's just a secondment, MD. Can the people who joined your training still go back? How did so many people come from your training, and I don't have any points in my heart? Dong 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 dong. Major General Sun Shao rhythmically tapped his fingers on the table. Wang Jianxuan instinctively closed his mouth. 2 reports, on information warfare, confidential, in duplicate, one to be submitted to the military region and the other to be sent to the commander for encryption and storage. Another report is publicly available within the training department. Some things cannot be rushed. Some things cannot wait. Yes, Wang Jianxuan smelled the smell of a storm approaching. In recent years, the border has become increasingly restless, armed drug traffickers have been persistent, and those guys across the street have been constantly testing our bottom line. The flames of war are imminent, leaving us with little time left. Now, Steel 7th Company is undergoing information technology pilot reform and originally intended to sharpen them. But now there's not that much time left. I told Gaocheng and Ziye that I want them to maintain the combat effectiveness of the 7th Interpenetrating Company while carrying out reforms. After all, among the various divisions of the group army, only the Steel 7th Company has the most outstanding ability in cross-cutting and vertical and horizontal. If that day comes, they will have to make preparations in advance now. In just one sentence, give people, give equipment. Is it clear? Clear. Once it's clear, go back and prepare early. Wang Jianxuan stopped talking high and realized the seriousness of the problem. He turned around and left. Upon seeing Wang Jianxuan leave, Major General Sun Shao picked up the red encrypted phone on the table and dialed it out. Hello, Commander. I have someone send you a report. Please take a look. The specific content is: the next morning at 7:53 in the early hours of the night, after an emergency gathering with Gaocheng and his 2 companions, Ziye's understanding of the Steel 7th Company deepened a bit. It can be said that the current Steel 7th Company lacks combat literacy and is truly the leading armored reconnaissance company in the group army. What he can do now is to make the soldiers of the 7th Company change their traditional combat thinking and move closer to information-based warfare, but it takes time. If it's a new recruit, it's easy to handle. On a blank piece of paper, he just needs to write it down. But now these veterans have been in the military for a long time and their thinking has become fixed. If they want to change, they cannot be impatient and need to take a slow approach. Let's start with collaborative training, and then assemble the assault team and assassins. Thinking of this, Ziye said to Gaocheng across from him, Old Gao, you've seen all the plans, do you have any ideas? There's nothing else, but have you really decided on those platoon leaders? Yes, from now on, our Steel 7th Company's requirement is to prioritize the capable and prioritize the mediocre. There is no need to argue in this regard. Alright, then let's do it. You go train your brothers first, and I'll explore which guy's secrets. If they have the determination, they'll keep going. If they want to become deserters, they'll go back where they came from. If our 7th Company doesn't serve, that's what we'll do. Okay, then I'll take the training with me first. After speaking, Gaocheng picked up his belt and hat and went out. Sure, Jean, go and have those 3 platoon leaders come to my place for a while. Yes. Upon hearing this, Sure Jean immediately went to call for someone. Everyone, the meaning between me and the platoon leader is already clear to everyone. This is not aimed at everyone, but for the future of Steel 7th Company. At present, our Steel 7th Company is in a critical period, and we need to unite our hearts and work together to form a rope. As platoon leaders, if you can't lead by example, how can everyone be convinced? So in the upcoming transformation process, as platoon leaders and military officers, you must set an example for the brothers below. If everyone can't do it, then leave here and don't blame me for not saying the ugly things first. Ziye was smoking while crossing his legs without even flipping his eyelids as he spoke to the 3 platoon leaders. The 3 elders were greatly surprised upon hearing this, with a slightly worried expression on their faces. After all, they came from the Steel 7th Company to be gold-plated. As a famous reconnaissance company, spending 2 or 3 years together can give their resumes a little more value, but I didn't expect it to turn out like this. Now it's not as good as fate to calculate. Ziye didn't feel any surprise in his heart when he saw their appearance. After all, everything was expected. The 3 platoon leaders left the company with ugly faces go straight to the regimental headquarters. After listening to their complaints, Wang Qingrui immediately patted the table. As a veteran who has survived from the battlefield, what I hate the most is this kind of thing. Sweat more during normal times and bleed less during wartime. Now these platoon leaders have developed resistance due to the transformation of Steel 7th Company. Not to mention these 3 guys are still the platoon leaders of Steel 7th Company. They really smear Steel 7th Company's face. This reminded him of the report submitted by Ziye. The more he thought, the angrier Wang Qingrui became. He picked up an ashtray and threw it at them. You 3, get out of here and pack your backpacks for me at the end of the year. If I were on the battlefield now, I would directly enforce the battlefield discipline and shoot all 3 of you scumbags. Now you can just go back and pack the bedding rolls for me, and report to the pig farm. Get out now, don't get in my way here. Wang Qingrui is on the verge of having a heart attack as he breathes heavily. The 3 platoon leaders looked at this posture and left in a gloomy manner. I have no choice but to stay here any longer and be shot.